Just in time for Christmas, here are a couple more holiday horrors that I've seen recently that you ghouls might find festive and worth a watch.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh my God, Christmas time again.
Christmas Evil is streaming on Tubi and Screambox. It's directed and written by Lewis Jackson. After learning Santa isn't real by witnessing his father dressed as Santa performing some lewd acts on his mother as a kid, Harry Stadling, played by Brandon Maggart, never really recovered from that scene and grew up to be a pretty scarred person. As an adult, Harry finally snaps when he's belittled at work at the toy factory, dresses up in a Santa costume, and goes on a rampage, rewarding those who have been good and killing those who have been naughty. Christmas Evil might not have been the first evil Santa flick, but it does it in a gritty and grimy way that feels more like a docudrama on mental illness than an over-the-top Killer Claus movie. Harry is a very sick man, and Christmas Evil spends a whole lot of time with him, allowing us a window into his world long before he finally snaps. We see how he keeps a naughty and nice list for the neighborhood kids and peeps on them from his apartment. We see how fragile he is around his boisterous co-workers who are quite jaded about the Christmas holiday and don't take pride in their work at the toy factory. Finally, we see the glee in his face when he first dons a Santa costume, laughing maniacally when seeing himself in the mirror. But none of it is over the top, and Brandon Maggart plays everything seriously and sadly. It's his earnest portrayal of a very broken man that forces the viewer to feel for Harry in a way that you just don't normally get to do in most killer Santa flicks, which focus mainly on the rampage itself. Silent Night, Deadly Night deals with similar themes, but because Harry is older and plays things on a much more realistic level, there's an abundance of investment and pity I had with Harry's character that the more murder-centric Silent Night, Deadly Night just didn't achieve with me. Once on his spree, which really doesn't occur until half the movie is over with, Harry is quite brutal with his Christmas wrath, but it isn't like the over-sensationalized spree in Silent Night, Deadly Night with the killer muttering naughty and hanging Linnea Quigley on deer antlers. Harry's rampage simply begins with a daytime attack on the head of his company in full view of the public and then spirals out of control from there. Again, it's the realism that drives this film deeper into the viewer's hearts and makes it less exploitative and more of a slap in the face of a sadder reality of old-time standards going by the wayside. The murders are not sensational, as I said, but as Harry's mind frays more and more, his unpredictability is what drives the tone to a fever pitch as a mob forms to take out this danger to the community. There's a wonderful scene where a group of children surround Harry as Santa, protecting him from their parents. Of course, this scene is immediately followed by an angry mob pursuing Harry through the streets with torches, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, where the hell did they get torches in this modern age? I get what they were doing, though, because director and writer Lewis Jackson compares this story to the story of Frankenstein. But if Silent Night, Deadly Night is the Dark Knight of Killer Santa movies, Christmas Evil is its Joker, focusing more on a pitiful and very sick central figure in an uncomfortably intimate way. The parallels between Christmas Evil and Joker don't end there, as both are products of a broken system and lash out in their own violent way to try to fight it. The ending of Christmas Evil is one of the things many criticize, but I felt, like Joker, it represents the main character's full acceptance of the role he has chosen for himself, with reality being an afterthought. It also might explain away those torches the mob is carrying, as by that time, Harry is at the point of no return, and he is in his own twisted form of reality by that point. The performances are better than they should be, with Brandon Maggart delivering a sympathetic take on a madman reminiscent of Peter Lorre's character in M. Shrewd eyes will catch some familiar faces in the background, such as the Green Mile's Jeffrey DeMunn as Harry's brother, Succession's Peter Friedman as an exec at the toy store, Breaking Bad's Mark Margolis as another exec, and Home Improvement's Patricia Richardson as one of the concerned mothers. Having seen Christmas Evil as a kid, I really didn't like it back then, but I've gained a new appreciation of it as an adult. It's a more mature deconstruction of the downfall of the Christmas spirit The film is quite the downer, but ends on a note that is surprisingly hopeful that the Christmas spirit may still exist somewhere out there within the minds of the innocent and maybe the downright crazy. Christmas Evil is a film that I most definitely will be revisiting again in my seasonal holiday viewing. And now for something completely different. Knife Point is streaming on Tubi. It's directed and written by Jed Strahm. Knife Point is a diabolical indie nightmare about a home invasion gone twisted as a barbed wire fence. The film is as dark as it comes, following a pair of women with issues of their own as they are tormented by a group of well-organized heathens on Christmas Eve as they make their way through an apartment complex, killing and looting each apartment one by one. Knife Point grabs you by the throat and doesn't let go, providing absolutely evil villains to root against, but as far as soul, the film is sorely lacking. The hook of most of these home invasion films is the fact that you are supposed to care about those who have been invaded. Very little time in Knife Point is dedicated to getting to know our damsels in distress, a pair of sisters, Michelle, played by Krista Braun, and Abby, played by Catherine Randolph. All we know is that there is resentment between the two of them, one for being an invalid, jealous of her sister's working legs, the other resentful of having to take care of her invalid sister. In some ways, I can appreciate the filmmaker's confidence that this complex relationship is conveyed with such little screen time, but I feel more attention to what motivates these two girls would have made me wince even more at the torment that befalls them. Knife Point wastes no time diving into the debauchery. In the opening minutes, we see a team of surly individuals meticulously kill off everyone in the complex, leaving the sisters as their last victims. The action is quick and brutal, and I like the way the filmmakers hit the ground running and really never let up until the closing credits. The brutality of the action is definitely hard to swallow, with rape, murder, and dismemberment not above this swarthy crew of miscreants' actions. Led by Jess, played by Grant Reynolds, and his equally twisted sister Lorraine, played by Kim Jackson, this crew is not to be trifled with. Though Jess is organized, as with most evildoers, order is not really this team's forte, and the diabolical actions, especially the ones of the out-of-her-mind Lorraine, end up screwing up this perfectly planned home invasion. The performances are pretty good for this type of exploitation film. Jess, played by Grant Reynolds, looks a little too much like Christian Bale here and seems to know it, but is able to convey a sense of danger to his prey and frustration towards his cronies. Kim Jackson shines here as the truly bugnut sister who's not above swiping the penis blade from Seven to rape her victims and seems to get off on having her face smeared with blood. The rest of the crew is equally despicable and play the part well, with Andy Mackenzie's Rizzo having the most disgusting line of the film, a response to being spat on by one of the sisters being, "Tastes like you have a sinus infection." Gag. Gag. Barf. Ugh. I can't help but sense a Walter Hill vibe here. Desperate Hours meets Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13 comes to mind. There's definitely a grindhouse sense of morality going on that permeates this entire flick, from the stylized and inspired opening sequence to the final credits. I just wished I was given a chance to develop an investment for the victims, but as Knife Point plays out, it's abundantly clear that the filmmaker's fascination lie with the depraved action and even more depraved villains. Finally, here comes SANTASTEIN. It's new, streaming on Tubi and Screambox from Imaginex Movies. It's directed and written by Manuel, Camilion, and Benjamin Edelman. When Max was a kid, he accidentally killed Santa Claus and buried him in his backyard. Christmas has been all but forgotten ever since in his small town, but since that fateful day, Max has been working on a way to reanimate the dead. Now 16, Max, played by Jared Korotkin, and his lab partner Paige, played by Ophelia Rivera, thinks he may have stumbled upon the means to bring life back to the dead. Having saved Santa's brain, Max steals a corpse and transfers the brain into the newly dead body. But this new SANTASTEIN, played by Michael Vidovich, doesn't really remember who he was and goes on a rampage across the small town. Now Max must find SANTASTEIN before the cops gun him down to teach him the true meaning of Christmas. SANTASTEIN is a low-budget gem of a movie that isn't afraid to have some fun mixing the legend of Santa Claus with that of Mary Shelley's greatest creation. And damn it if I didn't have some fun watching it. Now, SANTASTEIN is no perfect movie, but the mixing of the fun concepts, the lo-fi take on Max's reanimation process, and the violent and gory rampage SANTASTEIN goes on makes for a breezy and harmless, yet altogether fresh take on a holiday horror. I've seen Santa werewolves, Santa serial killers, and monstrous Santas of all kinds, but SANTASTEIN combines the stories of two iconic characters pretty seamlessly. The acting is not the best, but I've definitely seen worse. The sound is quite rough as well, another symptom of low-budget-itis, but the attempts at humor work most of the time. I like the added detail that the longer SANTASTEIN is in his body, the more he's able to spread the power of Christmas. So even though SANTASTEIN might not be able to control his powers, he inadvertently causes it to snow at Christmas time in this small town that seems to not have seen snow in, ever. This leads to one fun scene of a moronic teen testing if his tongue will actually get stuck when he licks a metal pole. Of course, the scene ends gorily. I also like the fact that the filmmakers took time to develop a few subplots involving characters that Santa might consider naughty, like the nerdy girl who wants desperately to be popular, no matter how many backs she has to stab, or the group of bullies who have tormented Max all through high school. You really don't get this type of character in a lot of low-budget horror, so I appreciate the extra work. The actors playing Max and Paige, played by Jared Karotkin and Ophelia Rivera, respectively, do a decent job as leads, playing it straight in this ridiculous situation, and Michael Vividovich is powerful and threatening as the lumbering SANTASTEIN, even when he's doling out some holiday-themed carnage. There are little winks and nods to Mary Shelley's classic as well, as SANTASTEIN runs into a little girl playing in the street that ends tragically, and Max's lab being made out of basic hardware materials and cardboard, though still capably able to reanimate. It's all done with a tongue firmly planted in cheek, and though it gets gory and quite brutal at times, there's a sweetness to the dim-witted Max, who is trying in his own bent way to bring Christmas back and atone for his past sin of killing Santa in the first place. SANTASTEIN isn't an epic film by a long shot, but it achieves a lot on a small budget while successfully blending two iconic fictional characters in creative ways. There's a lot of imagination in this fun little film, and having endured some truly wretched holiday horrors, this one is worth unwrapping. Well, there's a couple holiday horrors for you to gnaw on for this holiday season. I think I might have one more of these in me before the end of the year, so be on the lookout for another video soon. In the meantime, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays here from ML Miller Fright. Be well, be merry, and as always, let me know what you think of these movies down in the comments.
Oh my God, Christmas time again.
Please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be. Stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. To live inside that